Hello everyone, Steamtronics Productions here. Welcome back to another video, and welcome to Steamtronics Reacts. And this is a sort of, not exactly continuation, but I don't know, like part 2 or something, to a video that I did about a year ago for Halloween, where I reacted to the original Stepney Gets Lost. And so now I'm reacting to the draft of Stepney Gets Lost. A draft basically meaning, say if you're writing a script, like I am, my script being for the Lynn project, which by the way, I'm sorry to have to break it to you guys, but it will be postponed a little bit due to things going on in the world. Because what I don't want to happen is that people thinking that I'm being insensitive and, making a movie about an engine fleeing from the States to Norway. Let me just say right bloody now, has nothing to do with any politics or anything. It's just an idea that I got when I first got Lynn, and I've been writing ever since, before any of this bullshit happened. So yeah, my point being, drafts is like, you start off with like notes, then you start off with, you just start writing, and yeah, that's a draft. And this is the final draft of the script, or the final draft before it was sort of cut after, like, when it's hard to explain, but hopefully you guys get what I mean. So yeah, so we're going to be watching 2 today. So this video is probably going to be called Steamtronics Reacts script draft or something. I don't know, I'll think of something better. And yeah, this first one is Stepney Gets Lost. Now, Stepney is an engine that I hold very close to my heart. I grew up on the Bluebell Railway, as well as on the Watercress line, because they're relatively close to each other. They're both southern, but let's say Bluebell is sort of more polished and, like, I'm sorry to say this, touristy, I'm sorry to say. And Watercress is, sort of more like, it's more real. Like, there you can get like really up close to the engines, not as much as you can on the Voss line, but you can still get really up close, like talking going into the yard. But anyway, guys, let's do this. I don't know how long these drafts are, but let's see. And the original, and the narrator is, I think, Valesbridge Productions, if that's right. I don't know. And yeah, let's get into this video. And also, all credit of these clips go to Valesbridge, and not me, so do go and check them out. But without further ado, guys, let's watch it.
Stepney Gets Lost. Stepney, who runs the branch line in Bluebell Valley with his friends from the narrow gauge lines, was restless and moaned about his lot and the lack of adventure.
I bet that the real engine sort of felt like that too. Because I don't know if you guys have seen Terry Stepney's video, but he actually, like, ran from Brighton all the way up to Sheffield Park with like parts hidden in his coal bunker, which they should have done something with, but I can understand why they didn't, because that would have been a bit difficult. And also, I can't believe that they actually portrayed Stepney as a narrow gauge engine in media. As you can see here, I'll put something up here.
His driver often reminded him how lucky he was to be rescued by Rusty, the narrow-gauge diesel engine, from the scrapyards, and that complaining was like looking a gift horse in the mouth. Stepney never really understood that gift horse thing. As far as he was concerned, he was not as useful as he thought he could be. He often met Rusty as she busied herself around the narrow-gauge line, repairing this, building bridges, clearing branches from the tracks, in fact, just being thoroughly useful each and every day. One day they met up, and Stepney told her about his discontent.
Oh wait, this must be when Rusty was like genderless. Yeah, I don't know why they did that. Like, I think they did the same with Kelly, but like, it's weird. But I'm sure that Stepney feels even more useless nowadays, now that he's stuck in the sheds at Sheffield Park. I went to see Stepney a few days. No, wait, it was a week ago. It was a week ago, I think. And yeah, he looked alright. His cab was closed up though, so I don't know what's going on with that, but oh well. I'll be going to England again very shortly to sort stuff out with Connie, and hopefully I'll be heading back to Bluebell. But anyway, videos on those coming soon too, probably in the next couple of days or so.
Rusty looked at him angrily. "So you think you'd like to do my job, do you? I can tell you, my driver and I were only the other day saying how lucky you were, always traveling around the valleys with happy visitors who are always kind and polite to you. All I get is hurry up and do that, go there, go here, do this, do that, all in the space of a few minutes. Count your blessings, Stepney. Mark my words, it can be awfully tough being a working engine." Stepney looked downcast. He knew she was right, and after all, she had saved him from scrap.
Enough with the she. Rusty is a male. Like, I know it's just like a script draft, but kind of gets annoying after a while.
Rusty, but you know, it's just that, well, I'd just like to do something a bit different, like taking Thomas's train as a special treat. That's all I ask. Rusty knew exactly what Stepney was trying to say, so she promised to try and help him. That evening she spoke to her driver, and as they chatted, the Fat Controller arrived. He had some difficult work for Rusty, and after he had given her driver the instructions, her driver spoke to the Fat Controller about Stepney. The Fat Controller smiled. "A bit bored, is he? Well, I'll teach him what it's like to be a real working engine. Just you wait and see." Early next morning, after the firelighter had set Stepney's fire, his driver and fireman arrived. They were not happy. "You see what you've done with all your moaning, Stepney? The Fat Controller has scheduled us to help Toby and Mavis work the stone quarry."
I swear that I've heard a driver who sounds just like that on the Bluebell. I mean, it is in the south and it's near London, so probably quite a few.
"Maybe this will teach you to stay quiet in future. The only thing moaning is good for is making things worse." "Oh well, orders is orders." And off they went. Although Stepney felt sorry for his driver and fireman, he was very excited and sped along the line through beautiful countryside. Soon they travelled through mountain passes, over rickety bridges, until at last they entered the quarry. Stepney's driver spoke to the quarry foreman, who soon put them to work shunting trucks. Toby was very glad to see Stepney, as was Mavis. It was the first time Mavis had met Stepney, and she instantly liked him. She showed him what to do and how to park the right trucks in their selected sidings.
"Big rock in these sidings, ground rock in these, gravel in these, dust in those, and if you were really lucky, Foreman will tell to take the trucks to Farquhar Station.
I don't like that voice.
That's when he can have a rest.
But Stepney didn't want a rest. He liked working. Soon he was as dusty as Toby and Daisy. Non-narrator res here for a moment. The script specifically says Daisy with an E in it. Back to the story.
I'm sure that must be some sort of error or something. I don't know.
This made him feel very important.
Now I'm a really useful engine,
He said proudly to himself. The foreman was duly impressed with Stepney. He told Stepney's driver to take a long train of trucks to Farquhar. After that you may as well go home. I'm sure you don't want to do night work, do you? Stepney spoke first.
Oh, yes, please, sir. Please.
His driver looked sternly at him.
The Fat Controller told us we should be back before dark. But I suppose a little night journey would be quite fun,
He replied. I'll arrange it with the Fat Controller, and thank you, said the foreman. So instead of going to Farquhar that afternoon, they arranged a night special. This train consisted of trucks loaded up with small stone which was to be used in the construction of a new section of railway in the valley. Night fell. Stepney said goodbye to Toby and Mavis, and off he set. It was a beautiful moonlit night. The valleys and mountains seemed to glow. The rails hummed, and Stepney was very happy. They arrived at the construction site. It was very active. Stepney shunted his trucks into a siding, and after his driver had a quick word with the foreman, they set off for home. His driver spoke to the fireman.
We have to look for a junction, Sid. The foreman said if we toot the signalman, he will change the points for us.
Sid, isn't that? Or Sydney, isn't that? I could have sworn that was Edward's driver. I don't know. But hey, they brought back the crew's names. That's good, because I always thought that gave it more character. You know, the crews aren't just like nameless people who work on the engines. Because, you know, us railwaymen, we do have lives outside the railway, you know. Some more than others. What I mean by that is, my life is basically just about railways and YouTube. Not much is going on at the moment, but hopefully in the future it will.
This made everything very spooky. The line took them through Deadwood Forest. Now narrator as again. The script specifically says, the place where Percy was spooked. Do with that what you will.
Where?
Back to the story. At the bottom of which was a signal box, and then the junction. Stepney's driver saw a dim light in the far distance, so he tooted. Little did he know that the signalman was fast asleep after a huge supper of shepherd's pie.
Are you sure that it's not Shepherd Neame Double Stout, which is beer? I mean, yeah, you can get sleepy from, like, eating too much, but, like, I'm pretty sure that the signalmen on Soda are all bloody drunk. Either drunk or on something. So there's no way that a signalman would be that lazy. I've been in the signal box, and yet they almost don't have any rest.
Quite oblivious to Stepney's toots. What's more, he had left the phone off the hook, so the foreman wasn't able to relay a message to him about Stepney.
It sounds like he just wanted to drink in peace, I guess.
Stepney's driver saw a green signal light ahead.
Must be okay, Sid. The signal's green, so home we come.
But the points were set to the wrong direction. Stepney nor his driver noticed this, and in any event,
they wouldn't have known which way was home. They just trusted the signalman. After a while of traveling, the mist lifted. Stepney's driver became concerned.
I'm sure this is the wrong line. We were meant to be travelling down a single track, but there's two.
Stepney was worried. He sensed something was terribly wrong and wanted to stop, but his driver wouldn't let him. Quite suddenly, as they rounded a bend,
That's because of Rule 55. You can't just stop in the middle of the line, because then then the fireman or Sid would be forced to walk all the way back to that signal box.
And when the peg's at danger, just as sure as you're alive, there is a rule made by some fool, they call it 55. You have to tramp perhaps half a mile through hail or snow or rain to sign the book, then sling your hook and tramp it back again.
they saw huge marshalling yards ahead. Worse still, Stepney realized it was a diesel yard, and that meant scrap. Smelters and break-up sheds, the very thing he had once escaped from. His driver slowed down. They crept through the yards. Eventually they came to Bother's End. A rail ran alongside huge smelting sheds, the smoke lit by the
To what, sorry?
down sheds, the very thing he had once escaped from. His driver slowed down. They crept through the yards. Eventually they came to Bother's End.
I don't know what that is, but okay. And also, it would be a bit hard for them to creep through the yards because steam engines aren't exactly silent, and even if they were quiet, there would still be sounds like, the blower, the clanking of valve gear. Yeah, so it's almost impossible for a steam engine to be quiet. Not to mention the smell. Steam engine smell is like blood to a shark.
A rail ran alongside huge smelting sheds. The smoke lit by the huge fires made Stepney shudder. His driver and fireman alighted. His driver spoke to him. "We're going to see the foreman. He's bound to help us. Just stay quiet and all will be well."
Leaving a steam engine is irresponsible enough if it's on the main line, but leaving it in a yard which you don't know is even more irresponsible. And if you're gone for too long, then the fire might boil all the water. Well, that is if the fire's fierce enough. Because we don't know, the fire might just be low.
As soon as they had vanished from sight, diesels appeared. One in front of him and one behind.
Giggity. Whoa! Keep it in the bedroom, Diesel!
Stepney recognized them, and they recognized him.
Got you this time, Stepney. We'll scrap you tomorrow.
They hissed and snuck away. Stepney was terrified. Meanwhile, his driver and fireman were enjoying hot mugs of chocolate and rough-cut sandwiches.
Something tells me that the second he saw the crew coming, that he sent Harry and Bert to go and get Stepney. Because, something doesn't add up here. I think this might be rigged. Or planned out, sorry.
The foreman was a big friendly chap, and he reassured them both that Stepney would be okay till dawn.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
But Stepney wasn't okay. Several workmen called wreckers had been alerted by the diesels of Stepney's presence, and that he was to be scrapped immediately.
Just as I thought, Stepney wouldn't survive an hour there. They have, realistically, the driver and fireman have until the smoke box door comes off, and Stepney's done for.
Has gathered around him. "Seems a pity, really. He looks in good shape to me."
Orders is orders. If the boss says scrap him, then scrapped he has to be.
And that confirms it. It was all planned. Who knows, the signalman might have been bribed with beer or with booze. We don't know. And Also, it would be pretty hard to scrap Stepney because, yeah, newsflash to you, diesels. A steam engine is bloody hot and they take days to cool down.
Fred, couple the diesel to him and tow him into the shed.
And with that, a grinning Diesel towed him away into the gloom of the... He is lined up under a huge crane grabber. The huge flames from the smelter cast an awesome light across his face. He looked up and saw the grabber slowly descend upon him. Just as it reaches his cab, it comes to a shuddering halt. Stepney is most relieved. Suddenly, his driver and fireman, accompanied by the Fat Controller, appear in front of him. The Fat Controller gives him a stern telling off. His words short and blunt.
Go home, Stepney, and never stray again.
And once again, the Fat Controller, or Fat Hat, as a few of us call him, blames the engine, never the crew. I mean, Stepney wanted to stop, but his driver said, nope, we're keeping on going. Right now I'm just thinking about stuff that I could do, like Connie gets lost or something, because this kind of looks a bit like Connie, well, without the cab and the extra wheelbase, or the extra wheel set, but yeah, that... Actually, Connie gets lost would actually probably be a bit cool, because I don't know. I'll have to think more about that. But yeah, let me know if you guys want to see Connie gets lost or something.
And ever since that day, Stepney has never moaned about his lot in Bluebell Valley, but chats to Rusty about his great misadventure. Rusty secretly thinks that Stepney was awfully brave, but she keeps her thoughts to herself.
That might have been it. Okay. So, actually, is there more?
Right, yeah, that was
Yeah, that was it. There was one bit that they didn't show, and that was the bridge scene, like where Stepney rolls over the bridge, because there is some like concept art of it. I'm gonna put it up somewhere on screen here, and yeah, but it's not a big thing. That's just something I noticed. But yeah, this was just amazing. It shows that they were gonna do it a bit more realistically. Yeah, which as you know, I like. You know, the thing with me is I like realism, but I'm not like a rivet counter. You know, I know sometimes I say, oh, that wouldn't happen and stuff, but to be honest, it's genuinely not to criticize. It's just in a bit of fun, you know. Like, I'm sure you guys do that too. Yeah, and yeah, it's just a bit of fun, and honestly, I don't mind it. And you know, I've been told many times that my like concepts are unrealistic, mostly from my brother. But yeah, I like it, and yeah, I like a bit of realism, but I also think it's important that, you know, not to go too realistic. Like, you know, you don't want to like actually remove the engine's faces and just have a smoke box. That would be a bit too far. Anyway, guys, yeah, this was a fantastic little script reveal. Now we go on to James and was it Super ED or something like that? I don't know. But yeah, this is a scrapped episode, which I first found out actually at the workshop, because me and Steam Shadow, we were looking at like the series we were looking at the season 5 like wiki, I think it was, or like scrapped episodes. I don't know. And we found that, and a few days later, I started seeing remakes of it coming up. So I might well do a remake of it, like, you know, Roblox, like me and Mad About Steam did with Scrap Engines Torture. Might do, might not. I don't know. Anyway, on to the next one. Actually, I just saw something which I think we should react to as well. Is Tobys' Discovery. And I want to watch this because of the narrow gauge bit. Because I don't know, maybe they'll have something like, I don't know, I'm hoping that they'll have some other engine apart from Bertram in it. Like, I did see that Bertram was in this, but who knows? Maybe something will be revealed. We don't know.
Discovery. The island of Sodor has many beautiful things to
Oh, enterprising engines.
see and visit. Everyone travels around visiting the watermills, waterfalls, lakes, the mountains, the narrow gauge railway line with its spectacular mountainous scenery, the small fishing villages nestled along the colorful coastline, the ancient ruins of abbeys, monasteries, bridges, battlefields, standing stones, and the many castles. But some of the ruins are completely overgrown and impossible to visit. One day, the Fat Controller took his grandchildren to the beach. There they spent the whole day building an amazing castle. It wasn't big, but it was busy with turrets, drawbridges, and many other details. The Fat Controller studied it. "Where did you see that? Or is it just make-believe?" he asked them. "It's here on the island, but it's covered in creepers and trees and things."
Creepers. I know that's not what they meant, but still.
Told him. Then they showed him the place on the map. I think I'd better explore that myself," he said thoughtfully. Next day, he went to Arlesdale End where Toby lives. "Hello, Toby. Today we're going exploring," the Fat Controller said. Toby was excited. "Where, sir?" he asked as his driver and fireman joined them. "Well, I remember a long time ago, there used to be an old line that serviced the lead mine near here, but there was also a branch on that line that led to an old castle. My father used to take me there when I was a kid."
Hang on. So, I think that they're alluding to that the lead mine from Down the Mine, aka the pilot episode, is the same mine as where Bertram was found. Now, if that is the case, that would just be an amazing, that would just be amazing lore, really. That would just be amazing.
He replied. "I know that line, sir," said Toby's driver. "It'll be a bit dangerous now, I would think," said the fireman. "Well, that's what an adventure is all about. Come on, let's go," said the Fat Controller. Before they left, the Fat Controller phoned the signalman down the line to let them know their journey. After he got the all clear, they jumped aboard Toby and set off. They journeyed down a picturesque single line.
Oh, and speaking of Toby, they are building another J70, or a new J70, which I've seen. Now, back in 2022, I was let into the sheds at Neen Valley, and there I saw a J70. Well, a J70 replica. I'll put a photo up right here, and let me just say it was. I didn't know it at the time, but I realised that a few days ago, and it's absolutely amazing. Can't wait to see when it's in Steam.
Approached a small signal box. "We'll stop here, and I'll ask the signalman about the lead mine line," said the Fat Controller. The signalman explained things. He also gave him a metal rod so they could change the points themselves.
That metal rod would be the token. It would be the token because there are two types of tokens. One, it goes into a machine in the signal box, and two, on manually, on manual point lines, where you have to set the points yourself. The token is also a key, where you can where you have to unlock it and set the points yourself. It's the sort of system we have over here, like in yards and stuff. They're the sort of points that I'm more familiar with. Well, I'm familiar with both, but the ones that I've worked myself. Pretty difficult, like if you're not experienced with it, but you soon get the hang of it.
Don't forget to switch it back, please, said the signalman. We won't, and thank you, Bert. You've been a great help, replied the Fat Controller. Soon they came to the small junction. A rusty old line branched off and led to an old gate. A sign was nailed to it. Danger, unsafe track, it read. They opened it regardless and slowly made their way down the overgrown line. They had to stop on occasions to push aside debris and branches, but for all that, they made good time. Then they came to another branch in the line. Two old signposts were standing. One read, "To the castle," and the other, "To the mine." But across each rail were signs reading, "Danger! Proceed at your own risk." "Which way, sir?" asked Toby's driver. "We'll go to the castle first, I think," replied the Fat Controller. Toby was nervous. He knew all about danger signs and never liked passing them, even if the Fat Controller was aboard. But he moved off and was surprised to find how clear the line was. Then they came to an old bridge. It was made of rocks and boulders. A sign read, "Caution." His driver stopped here, and they all inspected the bridge. It spanned a deep ravine where a river flowed. "We used to call this Rumbling Bridge, because during the winter the river is very much higher, and it made the bridge shake and rumble," said the Fat Controller. Toby was anxious. "Do you think we should cross it now? I mean, it hasn't been used for ages, and it might be dangerous," he said. "It'll take your weight all right," said his driver. So they traveled across it.
But here's the thing, will it take the Fat Controller's weight? He weighs about a ton.
Slowly, and Toby was very relieved when they reached the other side. It wasn't long after passing the bridge that they came to the lined end buffers. A small path led from here up a steep hill. The Fat Controller scrambled up the path. When he reached the top, he gasped, for there ahead was the very castle that his grandchildren had built on the beach. Only this one was in ruins. The once proud turrets were covered in dense ivy. The drawbridge had rotted, and the castle walls had collapsed in places. But for all that, it was spectacular. Toby's driver and fireman joined him, and they studied it for a while. "Best be left as 'tis," said the fireman. "Nothing can be done for it now." "Been left too long," said the driver. I think it has potential, but we must visit the mine first before I make a decision," said the Fat Controller thoughtfully. So they journeyed down the rusty old line to the mine. All the old mine-working machinery was there, as well as sheds, sidings, old trucks, and lots of other things. But everything was very, very rusty. They journeyed to the far end of the works to the old mine shaft openings. "Well, bless me," exclaimed the Fat Controller. "Look over there. It's the old narrow gauge line. It might have well have been Duke's old line," he said, and then thought about
Hey! They mentioned the mid-soda.
things alone. When they arrived back at Toby's shed, the Fat Controller spoke to them. "I think this area, the castle, and the mine would make a splendid discovery tour for our visitors. I will make plans for it immediately. Thank you, Toby. You will play an important part in this scheme. Thomas, Percy, and Duck will help you," he said, and then departed. "Oh dear, I don't like the thought of working in that awful place," said Toby. "Rubbish! It'll be fun. And what's more, just think of all those trips we'll make with the visitors. It'll keep our line open for years to come," replied his driver. Toby felt happier, but he still didn't like the mine. "It's spooky," he said to himself. Work started sooner than they thought. First they laid another track from Toby's shed to the junction, and from the junction to the castle ruins and the mines. They even repaired and repainted the signal box. Percy, Thomas, and Duck brought blocks of stone and rock in their trucks, which they left in the sidings at the mine. Toby then took the trucks to the castle site. One day, Toby worked so late that his driver and fireman decided to stay the night at the mine. Thomas and Percy spoke to him before they left. "Beware of the ghost," said Thomas. "What ghost?" asked Toby nervously. "The old warrior ghost. Every night he lights his fire, and then he goes a-hunting. Anything he doesn't like, he smashes up," replied Thomas. "That's what he did to those rusty trucks over there, so look out," said Percy, and the two engines sped away. Toby was most concerned. He looked around him. The moon shone brightly, but made ghostly shapes in the old machinery. Strange groans and creaks came from the mine shafts, and sometimes he was sure the old mine shaft wheels would turn. Toby's driver and fireman were snug in Toby's cab, but they didn't help him. He felt it was his job to look after them, so he looked here, there, and everywhere. Then he heard a strange sound. Something was coming down the old narrow gauge line. It puffed and wheezed and then stopped. Toby stared into the darkness, and as he looked, he saw the glimmer of a fire. "Oh no! It's the warrior!" he cried, and shook in fear. His shaking woke his driver and fireman, who came to see what was wrong. "It's the ghost over there, the warrior. He's come to smash us all up," stuttered Toby. "Don't be so daft. Ghost warrior. It's probably some kids having a night feast," said his driver. "But we'll go and investigate if it makes you feel better." So driver and fireman went to discover what was burning. They were gone quite some time, and when they returned, they looked grim. "You're right, Toby. We spoke to the old warrior, and he promised not to spook you tonight, but he wants to meet you first thing in the morning. Something about a duel, he told us." And with that, he and the fireman went to bed, leaving Toby wide awake and alert.
Oh, that's just evil.
"A duel? That means a fight to the death. Oh dear," he said to himself. The sun slowly rose its beams, shining through the mist that lapped around the mine. The fireman lit Toby's fire, and soon he had a good head of steam. His driver spoke to him. "Ready to meet the old warrior, Toby?" he asked. "I'd rather not. I'm not very good at dueling," he said.
This is a lot darker than like the finished product. I can see why they cut this.
Sheepishly. "I'll make sure you're all right. You mark my words," and he hopped aboard. Toby drove slowly and steadily towards the far end of the mine, where he had seen the fire. He passed a large boxcar, and then he saw Old Warrior. He stopped in his tracks in sheer surprise, for there facing him on the narrow gauge line was a little engine. Bert the signalman was standing beside him, and he laughed at Toby's expression. "I suppose they told you about the ghost. Well, here he is, Old Warrior. I restored him, and I can only find time to run him at night."
Oh, that's how they got the name Bertram. And also, I can only hear like Bertram on like Enterprising Engine's voice, like because he plays as like Bertram in like Search for Smudger, and yeah, all I can hear is just Bertram.
Don't fret, driver. I'm sure it'll be fine. But, what about the duel?
That sounds so much like Bertram. My God.
Duel? Asked Toby. Duel? What duel?
I'm guessing that was Bertram.
Oh, I know. When I spoke to your driver, I said that you and Old Warrior here will serve a dual purpose, taking people around the place. You silly engine. And he laughed, as did Toby's driver and fireman. Toby was not amused at first, but after a long chat with Old Warrior, he felt much better. Now they worked together. The castle is a main attraction, and the mines were opened up so Old Warrior could take passengers all around the underground workings. All the old machinery was restored, and some of it converted to high rides and adventure playgrounds for the kids. If there are any ghosts there now, they will be happy and very useful ones indeed. The end.
Oh, for God's sake, they didn't even let Bertram say anything. That would have been so much fun here. And also, missed opportunity here, because this mine was connected to the Mid-Sodor Railway. Because there was a lead mine on the Mid-Sodor Railway, I believe. So this is such a missed opportunity. They could have made so many good episodes, like they did in the previous season, season 4. They could have done so much, like, you know, like season 4 was like, you know, establishing the Mid-Sodor, you know, like backstory of like Duke and, you know, how it was found. Now they could have like reopened it, because think about it. In the TV series, the Arlesdale Railway doesn't exist, so they could use Mid-Sodor instead to, like, yeah, that's just an idea. But yeah, still missed opportunity to do that. And then that way they could have kept Duke in that one movie. I'm not sure which one it was. Well, I think it might have been either Hero of the Rails, King of the Rails, or Tale of the Brave. I'm not sure which one, but one of them.
There were 2 instances where Duke could have returned to CGI. The first was in Kevin the Steamy.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Yeah, you know that god-awful episode from Series 15? Well, in a random establishing shot storyboard, one of the boarders threw in Duke, Sir Handel and Peter Sam into the shot. While this is a cool reference to the Mid-Sodor trio, I don't actually think that they were going to bring them back for this one shot. It seems much more likely that they just threw them in as an Easter egg since they were on narrow gauge track, because, you know, why not? The second time Duke almost returned to CGI was much later on. According to the railway consultant, Sam Wilkinson, the production team had a plan of bringing back Duke to the Earl's Railway Museum. They had discussed if how Duke could live at Ulfstead Castle, but also still travel along the line to the Skarloey Railway, as set up in episodes like The Switch or Luke's New Friend, where Luke and Millie are shown to travel to each other's railways. To be clear, there were never any scripts written for it or anything, it was just an idea that the crew wanted to do. Unfortunately, they never got around to it.
The point is, they could have kept Duke in the Steamworks scene, and they could have had him in Blue Mountain Mystery. It would just have made everything a lot better. So they should really have kept Tobys' Discovery like this. I think I might make a Roblox remake of this. I don't know. Anyway, onwards video. And also, that opens up a whole new can of worms, because this would be connected to the Mid-Sodor. So when the Mid-Sodor closed, then they left all the parts behind. And then Bert the signalman would just walk down to the old sheds, nick everything, probably Smudge's boiler as well, and and then use them for Bertram. My guess is that he just used, like, probably Smudge's old wheels. Well, if they still had it, and then the running plate as well. He used well, no, not the running plate. Used like Duke's like spare running plate, if that makes sense. If they had that in like storage, and it's like spare tanks or old tanks, and Smudge's boiler, and then you had Bertram. But anyway, guys, onto what you guys probably clicked on the video for, James and the Super ED, which I've heard rumours of is going to be what's known as Project 2026, which I might nick and use for Connie's project, but I don't know. Here it is, guys, what you all have been waiting for. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Episode 11, James and Super ED. James was much admired on the island of Sodor. When he was pulling a passenger train, the passengers always admired him before he set off and often thanked him for a splendid run. Likewise, when he was taking goods trains around the island, the tradesmen were always happy when he arrived because they trusted him. "You are simply the best engine, James. Always smart and clean, always on time. In fact, the most reliable engine we know."
Well, they certainly haven't seen him back in the 20s when he first arrived. We all know what happened then.
They said. This made James very proud, and he often let the other engines know what everyone on the island had said to him. "I am simply the best," he bragged in the sheds and yards. One day, Thomas, Percy, and Edward had to work the yards at the docks, loading coal into trucks. This coal was a mixed load, which needed to be taken to the huge coal hopper, which sorted out the best grade coal for important passenger and freight train duties, and the other grade for shunters and less important work. Because Thomas, Percy, and Edward were busy loading up the trucks and shunting them into sidings, the fat controller gave James the job of taking the loaded trucks to the hopper.
Doesn't really make sense because, like, you think that they would use like the better coal for like mainline running, and they would use the like smaller pieces for like lighting up. And besides, it's not the size of the coal, it's the quality of coal. Well, that is if it's not dust like what I had to deal with on the Severn Valley. But if it's just like small, like say smaller than your fist, because they say like ideally a piece of coal should only be as big as like a man's fist and no bigger, otherwise it would cause black smoke. But clearly railways these days didn't get the memo, because many times there were massive bits of coal.
James hated this work. It seemed every time he worked with coal, it rained, making his lovely red paintwork filthy. It often took the yardman 2 days to get him sparkling clean again, and James hated being washed. When James arrived at the docks, it was indeed raining. The fat controller spoke to him. "James, I've chosen you to do this job because you're fast and reliable. As soon as you've finished, you may do your favorite farmland run as a reward. Now, off you go."
Since when do you like doing farmland work?
And that was that. Although James loved the Fat Controller's praise, he still hated the task ahead. "Come on, old boy, we'll soon be done. You'll see," said his driver. But when they arrived, there was much confusion. The rain poured down, and the crane men refused to work any longer. "There's a threat of thunder and lightning. That's us finished until it passes," said one to James's driver. James complained bitterly as they sorted out their trucks, but there was nothing he could do about it. Engines worked come snow, storms, or floods. "An engine's job is never done, and be grateful for that," said his fireman before they set off. James was in a filthy mood when he arrived at the hopper. His task was tricky, but not all that difficult. The hopper was a huge slanting tower. A truckload of coal would be pushed onto the hopper's platform at the base of the tower. Then this platform would be mechanically lifted to the top entrance, where men would guide it to the tipper. The truck was then lifted and tipped into a special hopper, which sorted out the best coal from the not-so-good. The empty was then returned to ground level, which was a slight slope. The empty then self-propelled itself out of the way so another full one could take its place. After the coal had been sorted out, it was discharged into trucks under the hopper itself. As this was covered, it created masses of dust which covered any engine working the hopper.
I mean, shouldn't really, because you should think it's like an enclosed space, and if it's raining, that will keep the dust down. Because that's what we do in Bergen when we clean out the engine's fire tubes. We wait until it's kind of raining a bit, then we start cleaning it out. Because if not, the whole of Goldness would probably get covered in black dust. And believe me, black coal dust is a nightmare to get out, especially out your hair.
The work seemed slow. James's train of trucks was long, and he was slowly getting dirtier and dirtier, which made him more and more impatient. "Come on! Come on!" he yelled angrily. "I've got much more important things to do than watch you trucks being unloaded." But the trucks would have none of it. They knew James and his outbursts. "You're just like a big red pimple, and we all know what we do with red pimples, don't we? Pop 'em!" And the trucks all laughed.
Oh my god. That was quite fun.
This made James even angrier, and he treated them roughly. Then the thunder and lightning came. James hated this type of weather and grew more and more impatient. Then it happened. There were only 2 full trucks left to be hoisted. James biffed hard into them. "Come on! Come on!" he snarled, little knowing that his front buffer hook had become tangled up with the truck. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck the hopper, which made it go out of control. The works snatched at the hoist and lifted the truck at quite a speed.
Oh no. This sounds a bit like that episode where Percy got I don't know, it might have been engine in the middle.
"Help!" cried Percy. "I'm not a truck!" But no one heard him. Percy was hoisted up, tipped over, and brought back down again. After Percy was lowered back onto the ground, the manager was very cross.
But I'm sure you guys know what episode I mean.
As the front truck was lifted, it dragged the back on with it, and as this was snagged onto James, James also felt that he was being lifted as well. But he was far too heavy for the winch, which came to a grinding but sudden halt. Coal was already spilling from the back truck all over James. He just couldn't see anything. Then the first truck, on the ramp itself, fell off, pulling the other one with it, which, in turn, pulled James off the rails. He fell sideways. As he lay on his side, coal spilled all over him and nearly covered him. He was done for, and there was nothing anyone could do until the breakdown train arrived.
That most likely would have uncovered the ground sheet, so they would have to be very careful when getting him back onto the rails.
James was taken to the works to be mended. The Fat Controller was most annoyed with him. "You must learn to control your temper, James. Otherwise..." And he left James to think about what otherwise might mean. The following day, after the storm had abated, things got back to normal. But the Fat Controller wanted, more than anything else, to clear the huge lines of coal trucks in the dockyards. So he found a diesel. The other engines were most upset, but felt much better when he told them that the diesel was only there to clear away the coal trucks. "After his job is done, he will be dispatched back to the diesel yards." The diesel.
Oh, so... Hold on a minute. You don't think that the Vickerstown Diesel Works is this diesel yard that... Because we see in later seasons that the Vickerstown Diesel Works have a smelter shed. Things are starting to add up here.
Was not at all efficient. He kept breaking down and was not as powerful as he looked. But one day, whilst in the coal hopper yards, a sudden thunderstorm arose. Lightning hit the rails right in front of the diesel. Smoke poured out of his engine cover. Then it cleared, and when it did, Diesel, somehow, looked different. "I feel marvelous!"
That would have killed Diesel and his driver. And that would just be like an electric, like a third rail. That would have killed both Diesel and his driver and any railwaymen nearby. And sounds like my predictions were true. Because when I first heard about this, I thought, oh, it's probably electric diesel. You know, like diesel electric. I actually thought that they were gonna bring Boko back because, you know, he's what was it? What's his class called again? Hydraulic something or other. Boko, help me out here.
This engine is a Metropolitan Vickers Diesel Electric Type 2.
Thank you. Anyway, on with the video.
"Please take me for a run," he said to his driver, who duly obliged him. His driver couldn't believe the new power in ED, as he was called. For some reason, the electric shock from the lightning had converted ED into Super ED. He sped everywhere. Now, instead of only managing to pull a few trucks, he could pull masses of them at one go. The dockyards were cleared in no time. The Fat Controller was most impressed. "I shall try you out on my express passenger service," he said excitedly.
Oh no.
ED was delighted. He felt so good, he thought he'd work all day and all night, but he forgot about his driver and engineer.
Wait, there are two. I've only seen one person in the cab of Class 08, and also this sounds a bit like Thomas vs. Brewster, but instead of steam engines being turned into diesel, it just gets supercharged, which I kind of wanted to do with one of my diesels, like build a new diesel and try and make it more powerful, but never got the chance.
"We need our sleep," they told him. So ED had to stay in the yards close to the engine sheds. All the engines made rude remarks about him and wheezed him whenever they could. But no matter what they did, ED whizzed here and there and everywhere. Everyone waited to see him rush by. He sped through tunnels, through the countryside, through crowded...
Oh, so he isn't Class 08 anymore. He's a warship?
mainline stations. In fact, he was going so fast that Gordon's record was under threat, which annoyed Gordon and the other engines immensely. Soon, ED was nicknamed Super Ed. Posters appeared all over the island. "Get ahead with Super Ed," they proclaimed. Even Ed's driver and engineer became special. They wore brand new uniforms with a badge with Ed's face on it. The Fat Controller
What? I don't know why, but that just reminds me of the first In-Betweeners episode when Will has that massive green badge. I'm gonna try and make like an edit. So this is probably how the driver would look like. And also about it is about Gordon's record being under threat. It's not the same when it's Diesel. And I realised something a few days ago. You know that T1 trust that the enthusiasts over in America are getting all excited about? That won't mean anything. Like, that won't mean a thing if they beat Mallard's speed record, because his record is already broken. It's already broken by electric locos, so, and it won't have the same historical significance. So,
had never known business to be so good before. He stood proudly on the platform outside his office and admired Ed. People came up and shook his hand and told him what a splendid railway he was running now he was using Super Ed, and they wanted more like him. This was very disturbing news for the other engines. They blamed James for everything, no matter what. When he returned from the works, they wouldn't let him into the sheds. "You can stay out there with your new pal Super Ed. It was your fault he arrived, so you can suffer all his insults," they said. So James had to park alongside Ed, who was very chatty.
"Just can't wait till there's nothing but us diesels working these yards. You steam engines are messy, slow, and noisy. I hate them, but I must say I do like you, James. If it wasn't for you, no one would have known just how useful I really am. Powerful and speedy, too. That's me. You know, James, main lines were built for the likes of me. All you old chuffers are good for is the shunting yards. You can be as dirty and smoky as you want there. Leave the mainline stuff to me. I'm mean, lean, and clean. That's why they call me Super. You old smokies are for scrap."
He scoffed and he sniggered away.
sounds a bit like a Muppets character, but I can't pin my finger on which one. And also, I'm just going to say now, I hope this isn't Project 2026, because I think this would be a bigger flop than Big World Big Adventures. I'm going to be the first one to say I don't like it. It's just, no. If this is what, no. I just hope that this never sees, I just hope this thing never sees the light of day again, because I just don't like it. It's just, I don't know, it kind of just seems like a blobber dream sequence, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's a reason why this was rejected back in the day, and I hope that it gets rejected again, because this is just almost painful to watch.
Leaving James to fume on the sidings. He wanted to pay the puffed up Diesel out, but he just couldn't think of a way to do it. "Don't worry, James. That Diesel's just a flash in the pan. He won't last, you mark my words," said his driver. And he was right. The next day, Gordon was waiting for his train in the yards outside Knapford Station. A storm was brewing overhead, which was delaying things for him. Just then, Super Ed drew alongside.
I suppose you're waiting for the storm to pass. Well, nothing stops me. I'm a diesel electric and I like storms. That's why they call me Super, 'cause I'm super at everything, no matter the weather,
said Ed, and he purred happily, waiting for a signal to move off. Just then, a bolt of lightning struck Gordon's front buffer and zinged onto Ed. It seemed to spread all over him in a series of streaks. Ed's engine coughed and spluttered. Then thick smoke began billowing from the vents in his engine covers. His driver tried everything to make him move, but Ed was all seized up. More and more smoke poured from his engine. The smoke drifted into the station, making everyone cough and splutter. It was so dense, no one could see where it was coming from. The fat controller appeared on the platform.
Get rid of that smoke. If it's an engine, then it should be scrapped. I'll see to that, you mark my words,
he said angrily, little knowing it was Super Ed, his new star engine.
Super Ed gets scrapped. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. All I can say is good riddance, because, yeah, this is what I wish that Big World Big Adventures would be like. That Nia and that yellow banana thing got say that they got into like A's Gill style crash and they were mangled beyond repair and they just got hauled straight to the scrapyard. And yes, I say that this new character is on the level of those two.
It was then the end for Super Ed. He never worked again. James and Gordon had to take him away. James made a few remarks about dirty, smoky engines ought to be scrapped. But James's driver made them laugh the most. Well, it took a bolt from the blue to make ED Super, but it was a bolt from the blue steam engine that did for him. Gordon was everyone's hero. He made sure James was welcomed back into the sheds again.
But remember one thing, said Gordon sternly. Those trucks might make you see red, but it's far better seeing red than that Super Ed.
And they all laughed. James, the red engine, behaved much better after that. The end.
Okay. Finally, that shit is over. Oh, I just got a Discord ping. Bear with. Thoughts? Yeah, I really did not like that. I did not like that one bit. Like, why? Like, I must say I'm a bit disappointed, actually. I really am disappointed in this, like, season 5, like, I thought that they could do better, but nah, clearly not. Oh well, so James and the Super ED, disappointing, and I just hope that this doesn't become like one of those episodes where if you say that you don't like it, you get basically told off so much for it, you know, like, oh, it's such a good episode and stuff. How can you not like it? It's fine if you do like it, but I honestly just think it's a big pile of scrap, really. Anyway, guys, this video is getting pretty long, and yeah, maybe my little Roblox group will make a James and the Super ED thing. Might not, because yeah, some people might not want to, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, yeah, that was it for the Steamtronics draft script something. I don't know. I'm still thinking up a title. Yeah. Thank you everyone for watching. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, despite the last one being an absolute flop. And yeah, this is Steamtronics Productions signing off.